Thanks for tuning in. So the Raptors, they were home today. They were playing the Minnesota Timberwolves. Raptors won 137-126. The Raptors are now 40-14. 40 wins and 14 losses. Think about that. Raptors won 15 games in a row. That's pretty impressive. And this game was pretty exciting. For those of you who watch, I don't think any defense was being played in that game. But it was an offensive game. That's pretty much what people pay their money for. It was a lot of D'Angelo Russell, who had his first game since being traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves. D'Angelo Russell and Karl Anthony Towns. They were long rumored to kind of want to play together, right? Karl Anthony Towns, everybody knew about his unhappiness in Minnesota. Obviously, Minnesota's been losing a lot of games, and they don't really have a good track record in terms of some of the guys that they drafted. And coming into this season, they had Andrew Wiggins, they had Karl Anthony Towns for the past couple years. So that team, I think the expectation was kind of running out, and the Timberwolves were really active during the trade deadlines. So they shipped out a lot of guys, and they played the Raptors today with a bunch of new faces, including D'Angelo Russell, James Johnson, my boy Malik Beasley, and among other guys. But man, the Raptors were, they were winning. They're on a winning streak. They had 14 straight wins. The Timberwolves came in town. Obviously, they were hyped. At this point, when you're on a winning streak, everybody's trying to take you down. So I was expecting a great game, and it was a great game. The Timberwolves, they actually looked like they were gelling pretty good. They were moving the ball well, even though it was a bunch of new faces on the team. Karl Anthony Towns, he kind of looked like he was re-energized. Obviously, he's playing with his longtime friend, D'Angelo Russell. These guys, they were brought up through the AAU system together. Even when they got drafted, I believe, Cat went number 1 and D'Angelo Russell went number 2. And then ever since they've been in the league, they've been tight. They were boys. So, it's sad that Andrew Wiggins had to get traded, but one of them had to go. And Andrew Wiggins was being, accused of not being an alpha. He didn't have the heart to kind of lead a team. Obviously, Andrew Wiggins was a number 1 overall pick in the draft, and unfortunately, that's what comes with it. A lot of people expect you to be an alpha, a leader, especially when a team drafts you number 1. It's a huge investment, and that rookie contract is pretty big. And sometimes a lot of people will put unfair expectation on you. I thought that Andrew Wiggins was, he's really talented, but at the same time, as an organization, if you see that your pick is not, panning out in terms of what you expected, I don't think you should kill a guy. Because if you think about it, Andrew Wiggins got traded to the Golden State Warriors, and now he's not playing right now with Steph Curry, but next year we're expecting Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Andrew Wiggins to be the core of that team. And I think Andrew Wiggins could be, if he puts his heart to it, he could be a better version of Andre Iguodala. And that's pretty much what I'm expecting. Good teams, you don't just throw away a guy just because he's not an alpha. Just all you got to do is pretty much realize what you have as quickly as possible, and then make use of it. Kind of like what the Raptors are doing with Nick Nurse and Masai Ujiri. The Raptors is a smart organization. If you think about it, the Minnesota Timberwolves, that's a team with a bunch of draft picks, high draft picks. Karl Anthony Towns, Josh Okogie, D'Angelo Russell, and at the same time, if you look at the other side, if you look at the Raptors, we have a bunch of undrafted players, guys that didn't even go in the draft. Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam was a late first rounder. If you look at even a guy like Chris Boucher, undrafted, Terrence Davis, our rookie, undrafted. So the Raptors, that's a sign of a smart organization, and an organization that has a good farm system. So the Raptors came out, they played well, and I got to give some love to my boy OG Anunoby because OG Anunoby is a guy that you know we were kind of disappointed over the last couple of games. Obviously, he needs to refine his offensive game a little bit better. But in this particular game, Serge Ibaka wasn't playing. I think he was out with some flu symptoms. Kyle Lowry came back. He got hurt a couple games ago in Indiana. They called it a whiplash, but I think he pretty much just hurt his shoulder. But yeah, the Raptors, obviously, Nick Nurse is going to be the All-Star coach for the East Coast, and the Raptors came out to play. So it was a little rough. Like I said, no defense. It was an offensive show. It was pretty close throughout the first quarter through the third, and then the Raptors obviously picked up the defensive intensity, and they put the game away. So if we look at the stats, like I was saying, I gotta give a huge shout out to OG Anunoby. He stepped up tonight. Obviously, a lot of it was because it was being facilitated by Kyle Lowry. But at the same time, that's what we want from OG. If you don't have a refined offensive game, at least be a 3-and-D guy. Play some good defense and make sure you hit your shots. And that's what that's what OG Anunoby did tonight. He played 35 minutes, 25 points. That's really good. 12 rebounds, 1 block. He was 10 for 13 from the field. That was 76%. And he was 3 from 4 from 3. So my guy, OG Anunoby, you put in work tonight. You deserve it. And then if you look at the rest of the team, everybody was just offensively, everybody was, pretty much getting going. We got Pascal Siakam, 34 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. He shot 66%. We have Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, 21 points, 61% from the field. I mean, it was impressive. Karl Anthony Towns, he's a big 7-footer. And we didn't have any of our centers or our main centers. So we didn't have Marc Gasol and we didn't have Ibaka in the game. And most of the time we were running Rondae Hollis-Jefferson in the post guarding Karl Anthony Towns. And he did a good job. Karl Anthony Towns was just, I would say for the majority of the game, he was settling for jump shots. Typically in that scenario, if you're a bigger guy, you're just going to post up a smaller guy, right? But that tells you that Rondae Hollis-Jefferson has some strength, and he was able to hold off Karl Anthony Towns. Towns had 23 points on 38% shooting, so he did not have a good night shooting. He was, clearly did not want to be in the paint, even though he was the tallest guy in there. He was being forced out, and he was 3 for 6 from the 3, which is not bad for a big guy, but at the end of the day, that's contributed to them losing because they didn't really take advantage of Karl Anthony's overall size and his size advantage against the Raptors tonight. But it was a good game to watch. Some of the rest of the guys, Van Fleet, all these guys, they're doing their thing. They weren't too impressive this game, but they came in, did their job, and the Raptors came up with the win. But by the way, something I wanted to touch on. The California officer, obviously, I don't know if you guys remember, but back in the finals in last June 2019, when the Raptors pretty much Game 6 won the championship, apparently there was a story that came out that Masai Ujiri was trying to join the Raptors on the court, and then some officer was just being an idiot and wasn't allowing Masai Ujiri to get on the court, asked him for his access pass or his access card, identification card or whatever. I don't know if the cop really didn't know who Masai was, but some sort of altercation took place. And at the time, they had said that, the cop or the officer was not going to press any charges. But now, today, there was a story that came out. And apparently he wants to pursue with those charges. I guess the officer's name is Strickland. And Basically, what he's claiming is damages for mental and physical, emotional, and psychological pain and suffering, along with lost wages, lost opportunity for financial gain, future earning capacity, and past future medical care and expenses. So I don't know what the I don't know what this guy is talking about, man. What turned out, what looked like a small altercation, a small discussion, or disagreement. This guy is making it seem like it's he got knocked out the building or something. And apparently he's even putting out some stuff against the Raptors organization now. So clearly, sounds like it's a money grab, but we'll see what happens. We'll wait on the details. This is not the time to be sullying one of the greatest executives in the league, but people are going to be people. At the end of the day, this guy is obviously out to get something out of this. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, aside from that, I'm just going to wrap it up pretty quickly. If we had to give out a game ball tonight, I think I would give that game ball to OG Anunoby. Again, OG, he stepped up offensively and defensively. Obviously, he's our 6'7", 6'8" wing. We know that we put him on the floor for defensive purposes, but the fact that he showed up offensively, that's a bonus. And the goal is to make that a consistency. So OG Anunoby, you're getting the game ball tonight. But yeah, aside from that, appreciate your time. Again, I'm going to cut this short. You guys can find me, Finest Podcast on Spotify. You can hit me up at Alleyway27, Instagram, Twitter.